Fantastic. Welcome, everybody, to keeping your website visible in the age of AI search. I know this has been a topic much in demand as people are potentially seeing their website traffic go down, as people are getting answers, as participant or visitors to websites are getting answers in AI search rather than coming to websites. So it's a very interesting topic to many of us. So you'll be hearing very little from me. I am Laura Quinn, but you're going to be hearing today instead from two people who know much more than I about this topic, TJ Peeler and Meredith Berents. I'll let them introduce themselves. This webinar is under the auspices of the nonprofit website Insider, which is a website, newsletter, webinar series, all of those things, with practical tips for powerful nonprofit websites. So the idea of people who are managing particularly information-rich websites. We work with a lot of those, sorry, we provide information for a lot of those people, but many other sites as well. And for people who are just managing those on a day-to-day basis, we welcome all to register if you are not yet registered for the site. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to TJ and Meredith. If you want to share your slides, introduce yourself, and take it away.
I do. All right. Well, Laura, thank you so much for inviting us to come speak today. We're so happy to be here. I'm gonna skip my slide for a second. Oh, wait. So we are recording. We are recording. Please ask questions, and Laura will help us field questions and answer questions in chat. Um, I'm gonna have to go back for 1 second to some of my notes, I think, for a second. But I wanted to just start with introductions. I'm TJ Peeler. I'm the Director of Content Strategy, UX/SEO/AEO at Allegiance Group Plus Pursuant, or AGP, as we like to call ourselves now that we've become too much of a mouthful. We are a digital marketing and fundraising agency that we specialize in working with associations and nonprofits. Meredith and I are on a team that works on websites and technology solutions for communications. Meredith, who the heck are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Berents. I'm a senior content and SEO AEO analyst here at Allegiance Pursuant. I've been working with nonprofits and associations for about 10 years. Over the past year and a half or so, I've been focused on how AI is reshaping how people are looking for information, making decisions, and ultimately taking action. So we're excited to walk through what's changing, what we're seeing, and what industry data is telling us about what we should do next.
Yeah, so as I'm sure everyone has noticed, search is really changing. We are seeing organic traffic to websites drop across the board because of AI tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, and AI overviews, which are the little summary boxes that you see in Google search results. So today we're going to talk about sort of trends and what we're seeing happening now, how to optimize your content for AI to get your content into AI, and then what we think is coming up in the future a little bit too. We'll touch on that a little bit at the end. As Laura mentioned, this is the lightning round of this talk. This is a 30-minute lightning round. So please, and we will try to address them, as we're going through. I think the TLDR, if you have to leave right away and go have lunch, is that we do not recommend blocking your website from AI chatbots. Conversations and information is being found on AI, and we don't want you to be left out of that conversation and not discoverable and not found. So before we get too far down the roads, we want to start by just sort of defining some terms. So LLM stands for Large Language Learning Model. This is the technology that powers AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity. So I'm gonna use the phrase AI tools when we're talking about this generally about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity. That helps us be a little bit less jargony than saying LLMs. And then AI overviews is another thing. It's Google's generated. It's a Google feature that they have where they are using AI to generate a comprehensive answer in the search results on Google search results pages. And it's usually at the top of the page before you get to any of the search results. Okay, so as we alluded to, and I feel like this is going to be not a surprise to anybody here, but we are seeing organic traffic declining across the board. Um, when AI overviews appear on Google search results, the average click-through rate of somebody clicking on a link from a search result page in Google and going to that website is dropping by about 60%. Even if you're ranking number one in the search results, which used to be the, gold standard, you're not the first thing that someone sees or clicks on anymore. On average, we're seeing the top search result drop by 35% when AI overviews are present. So this is indicating that, users are just clicking on search results less everywhere. Okay, sorry. So, traditional metrics are falling because user behavior has fundamentally changed because of these AI tools. It's fascinating how quickly AI tools are evolving and user behavior is changing, honestly. So people are now expecting instant answers. They're less interested in clicking around on websites to piece together information themselves. They are expecting one clean, credible, complete response. And the data that we see backs this up. So over 70% of people are using AI tools for search. 14% are doing so every day. 20% or 1 in 5 people have switched AI to using an AI tool as their primary search platform over something like Google or Bing. So this is really changing what matters for visibility and for brand awareness. It's less about page views and it's more about, are you a source of information that is being pulled into those AI responses, and are you being cited? Meredith, what about informational content?
Yeah, so since users are expecting instant answers now, certain types of content are seeing even more massive traffic drops, and informational content is really first in line for that. So, informational websites have seen a 20 to 40% decrease in organic traffic since the rollout of AI overviews. And that's because over 99% of keywords triggering AI overviews are informational in nature. So, informational queries are things where people just want to know something and they don't want to do something, where AI could answer it completely. And there's no reason for a next step, no reason to click through to a website. And this is hitting informational sites the hardest, especially what they call YMYL industries. So your money, your life. So that would be industries like health, education, finance. And it makes them top targets for AI overviews and AI tool answers. And a recent study also showed that organic click-through rates for informational queries featured in Google AI overviews fell 61% since mid-2024, while paid click-through rates on those same queries dropped 68%. But brands cited in AI overviews earned 35% more organic and 91% more paid clicks than those not cited. So very important to get cited. But it's kind of a catch-22 where, to make matters trickier, Google isn't really just a search engine anymore. It's going to be a direct competitor too. So paid results, knowledge panel, maps are frequently presented above AI reviews, and ads are also now in AI overviews. So between ads, featured snippets, map packs, and AI overviews, Google's answering more questions itself instead of sending users to your site. So if search is changing and informational traffic is dropping, where's that traffic actually going? So as mentioned, the tools that people are using are changing. It's obviously not just Google's AI overviews. When users do click through from AI tools, their 3/4 come from ChatGPT. Perplexity is also growing fast. So now that's about 15%. And Google's Gemini is also gaining ground with about 6% to date. But regardless of the tool, it's important to understand that AI is pulling answers from across the internet, not just your website. And we could talk about this a lot more, but just broadly, AI tools are looking at things like Reddit discussions, LinkedIn posts, YouTube videos, academic articles, ratings reviews, things like that. So they're cross-checking sources as well. So if your voice isn't represented in those spaces, you could be invisible to these systems. So it's not really just about showing up on Google anymore. You have to optimize your full digital presence because that's what AI tools are referencing and how they decide who to cite.
Um, Nora, I see your question. I'm just sort of holding it until I think the end of the call so that we can talk about inaccurate information on LLMs, because that's a great question.
Yeah, so we've established the problem, traffic's dropping, AI is answering queries directly, and you're competing with Google. So here's the reframe. We need to stop thinking about traffic volume and start thinking about AI as a discovery channel. So
Hmm.
nearly 60% of searches now end without a click. Users are getting their answers right there in Google or through AI overviews. But the small percentage that does click through, they've reviewed summaries and they're looking for deeper information, and they're much more engaged in general. So users from AI show high engagement signals. So we're looking at 36% longer sessions. So like 2 minute, 13-second versus 1 minute, 37-second average for organic. Deeper scroll depth and lower bounce rates and stronger intent signals throughout their visit. And the pathway to being discovered by AI really isn't that different from what you've been doing. So strong SEO still matters. Most AI overview citations, for example, are coming from top ranking pages. So the goal is really to get cited, summarized, or referenced by AI tools while still keeping strong SEO fundamentals in place. But you also need content that AI can't create. So really give AI a reason to cite you. So for example, AI can summarize general information about tenant rights, for example, but it can't interview the family you helped last week. It can't create your organization's research program. It needs information from your site. So that's the kind of information that's going to be cited.
Just to mention there's a number of legal information organizations on the road, on the line. And those are also another way to be cited is to be the kind of the most central source of information on a particular topic where like if government sites are pointing to you and academic sites are pointing to you and other housing partners, everybody's pointing to you as the best information of legal information in the state of Illinois. That's another way to get in here. So it's
Right.
not necessarily, you can be also the best source. And that is something that some of you actually are. And so basically making sure that you are getting pointed to as that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the like SEO fundamentals of trying to rank and what you do to improve your SEO rank also helps get you into these AI tools as well.
Yeah, yeah. Um, So if you're seeing traffic drops, it doesn't necessarily mean that your content is bad, like we're saying. It just means how
Right.
people use content is changing. So thinking about how we can adjust our strategies. So you can start by changing what you measure. So if you're still worried about traffic volume, you're probably looking at the wrong data. So if you
Ooh,
think
I need to
about,
go. I'm sorry. I need to switch to the next slide. Right?
nope, this one's good.
No? Okay. All right.
Yeah. So if you think about the informational traffic that you lost, for example, was it traffic that was accomplishing what you wanted it to in the first place? Um, like we mentioned, the visitors that are coming from AI tools, they've likely already done their research and they're ready to engage with your content. So we need to track what matters. Are users signing up, downloading resources, and then beyond, traditional conversions, focus on engagement metrics. So how long are users staying on your key pages? How deep are they scrolling? Are they exploring multiple pages? And for more non-traditional metrics like that, you can of course use Google Analytics. But if you're not already using Microsoft Clarity, we would highly recommend it. So it's a great free tool for this. You can see scroll maps, heat maps to understand how people are interacting with your pages. It also has Copilot built in, so it can summarize your sessions for you so you don't have to watch hundreds of recordings.
And we don't get any kickbacks from this promotion of Microsoft Clarity. We really just love it as a
Yep,
tool and
it's
it's
an
free.
awesome tool.
Yeah.
It's also really important to pay attention to citation tracking. So monitoring which of your pages are being cited in AI responses. So you can do this with paid tools. There are some free tools, but really the paid tools are going to be the best options. But I also think just like with, traditional SEO, you can also just do this yourself manually. So run tests yourself in different AI tools. So, if you're seeing content that you haven't updated in years, AI tools might be summarizing or linking to it right now. Um, Worse yet, and we see this a lot, are the sources that are cited for, your top queries not even using your site. If so, you
Mhm.
need to update your content for clarity and continue to make sure that your content is up to date and accurate for users and AI tools. But really, what hasn't changed is quality content, clear structure, strong fundamentals. So the SEO work that you've been doing isn't obsolete.
All right. So that's sort of the landscape of what we're seeing and why SEO fundamentals still matter and make a big difference in being seen for AI. We're going to talk a little bit more specifically about how we see how we've been helping clients optimize for AI. So I'm going to talk about it briefly, super briefly, and then Meredith's going to dive into a little bit more details. Um, so technically, you want to keep, as I mentioned at the beginning, you want to keep your content, your website open for AI crawlers. That's how you're a part of the conversation. You want to be structuring your pages for humans and for AI with clear summaries, FAQs, making sure your expertise is obvious with author bios and credentials. That stuff is still very, very important. And you want to think about expanding beyond your website, sharing expertise on LinkedIn, creating educational video content. You really want to think about being where your audience is and on the channels that your audience is on. Um, and then as Meredith was talking about, tracking engagement quality over traffic numbers, right? We're going to continue to see traffic numbers decrease, but we're going to continue to see quality of we're getting less traffic, but higher quality traffic. When people come to your website, they've already done their preliminary research on a different tool. And now they're coming to you for deeper information, for more specifics, to reach out, to get something more specific from you. All right, so Meredith, take us a little deeper on this.
Sure. So starting with the foundation, just like with traditional SEO, if you're not indexed, optimizations that you're doing won't matter. Um, Same with AEO, GEO. So make sure that robots allows AI crawlers. Unlike Google, AI tools typically can't execute JavaScript to see content. Keep in mind this could change as AI evolves, but for now, think about don't put all your key content in JavaScript. Summarize it outside of JavaScript.
And we
Um,
sometimes see JavaScript under like show hide accordions. So you want to check anytime when you've got show hide accordions, that's at one spot where we keep seeing critical content being hidden.
mhm, yeah. Um, and then while the jury's still out on how much AI tools are using schema today, implementing it now positions you for the future as these systems evolve. But at minimum, it helps search engines understand content structure and extract your content better. So thinking about incorporating structured data into your site. And then we often see that it's common to gate your best content, but this is making it invisible to AI tools that could cite it. So our current advice is only gate what you really need to, and at the very least, explain what you're offering so that AI and users understand your expertise. And then finally, speed matters. So AI tools only take a limited amount of time to analyze each page. So make sure that your site is loading quickly. But bottom line, make sure that your content's accessible and structured so AI can find it, understand it, and cite it. And then how to structure your content so that AI wants to cite it. So AI tools, like we've mentioned, they love structured content that they can easily extract and quote. So start with TLDRs and summaries. These are often what gets cited directly in AI responses. So don't bury your key insight deep in the page. As we mentioned, prioritize unique value, original data, expert quotes, and interviews. So this is going to be your citation worthy content because AI can't generate it itself. It can only reference it. If your content's just a rehash of information that exists elsewhere, you're probably not going to get cited. And interestingly, we see that even on sites, there have been these studies that say if you're, even taking one statistic that might have been true a year ago and just rehashing information, even if it's your own study, you need to be coming up with a more unique new perspective. So not just saying the same thing over and over again. And then clear structure matters. So using descriptive subheadings and scannable formatting. So AI tools scan content to identify the most relevant sections to extract. So make that easy for them. Show credibility signals like author names, credentials, publication dates, last updated dates. These all help AI assess whether to trust and cite you. And then creating comprehensive resources that answer complete questions, not just surface level, keyword stuff blog posts, and consider topic clusters. So building out related content that establishes you as the authority on a subject area rather than, thinner, more broad content. And then your content should also work as standalone pieces that can be adapted across platforms. So like we talked about, cross-channel promotion. A blog post could become a LinkedIn article, become a video script. So the same core insight with different formats. And the goal is to really make sure that your content's so clear, credible, and comprehensive that when AI is looking for an answer, you're the obvious source to cite.
Meredith, we have a question about LLMS text, TXT files, and do you recommend adding that in addition to the robots.txt?
No, I think that was something that came out, and people were curious if it was going to be helpful or not. As far as we've seen, I do not think that it's something you need to do. I would focus more on structured data.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And we also had a question about PDF and whether LLMs can read content in PDF. My, thought is that as long as you're not blocking that section of your website from in your robots TXT and you're linking to those PDFs, then yes, they are crawlable.
Yes, yeah. There's a couple of cons with PDFs though. TJ, I'm sure you'll expand on this, but you can't update them, and LLMs do love content that's going to be updated and have any new citations and things like that. So if you can put in HTML, I would do that instead.
Yeah, and Erin, I think what I would do is prioritize since you have tens of thousands of pages, think about prioritizing them based on like landing pages or I mean I know or looking at page views, which I know we're seeing decrease across the board, but it can give you a sense of impact, right? So going after, the top 50 pages first and working on converting those. Um, because trying to do 10,000 pages at a time is really not not very feasible. Oh, sorry, Nora's got a follow-up question on follow-up question. I'm sorry, we've got a lot happening in the chat. It's great. So many good questions. On why you don't recommend an LLMS .txt file, or is there any harm in adding one?
I wouldn't think that there's harm in adding them. I just know that most of the major LLMs have not adopted them, so it's just not worth it at this point. Just keeping your robots up to date and make sure that AI can crawl through robots.
All right. What about outside of the website?
Yeah, so, and this could be like a separate webinar in and of itself, but as we mentioned, the AI tools don't really just crawl from your websites anymore. They're pulling from everywhere, Reddit discussions, LinkedIn posts, YouTube, professional forums, and more. So validating your expertise by checking multiple sources. So if AI is pulling from all these sources, where should you actually focus? We think it's important to think about where your audience is, but also what tools they're using, and consider, partnerships and platforms that are already shaping what's getting seen and cited. So Reddit has a partnership with OpenAI, so ChatGPT is going to be more actively pulling from Reddit conversations. But there's a catch: marketing-driven language gets rejected fast. So you need a branded Reddit account where you genuinely answer questions that provide value, not, are promotional in nature. And then, of course, Google and Gemini are going to favor YouTube because it's part of their ecosystem. So think about optimizing your videos and providing transcripts. But what does this really mean practically for you? Really just thinking about where your audience spends the most time and where conversations about your sector are happening. So showing up authentically in these spaces, whether that be forums, LinkedIn, YouTube, what have you, but be genuine and not promotional. You might hear people say that it's now search everywhere optimization, but it's really not about being everywhere. It's really about building distributed authority, being strategic about where your expertise is most valued.
There was an interesting question at the beginning here that was asking about how do you correct incorrect information in LLMs? What do you do if something that you provide, if there's a wrong answer in an LLM? And I think there's like a little bit to unpack there in that they could be getting a wrong answer. Like you want to know if the wrong answer is being cited towards you. That's one scenario. Why don't we talk about that first?
Yeah, so if it's in AI overviews, ChatGPT, what have you, you can report it. It's really easy to do in AI overviews. You can just click the citation and you can click report. ChatGPT, for example, is a little bit more complicated, but I know that you can still offer a correction, even if the citation is not from your site directly. But yeah, you can report that kind of thing. But that's really, I think, why it's important to stay on top of, manually tracking your presence in AI tools.
Which is like manually checking, asking top questions, thinking about the pages that you get traffic to, asking questions about them and seeing what the responses
Mm-hmm.
are, even just Googling like your name and your primary purpose and seeing what the response is, right? All right. Well, I know we have 2 minutes. Oh boy,
Okay,
we're going a
so
little over.
how do you measure if what we've covered is actually working? So first, you're going to want to focus on quality over quantity. So like we said, stop, fixating on traffic volume, track scroll depth, time on page, conversions, actions instead. Um, we've also mentioned AI visitor behavior is going to be fundamentally different. These visitors are going to spend more time on your site and scroll deeper and convert at higher rates. And then talking about how AI is functioning like a new digital channel, so it can be helpful to measure it as one. You can set up a regex in Google Analytics, which is a regular expression, um, and it can be helpful to measure it as its own channel. I know attribution modeling is evolving, and Last Touch is not going to be perfect, but it's going to give some visibility into how AI traffic performs differently from traditional search. And this can also be helpful to show stakeholders that the value of optimizing for AI channels. And then paying attention to offsite platforms. So are there platforms where you should have a presence, but you don't? Bottom line, I think engagement quality matters more than traffic volume. So the most valuable visitors are not always the ones coming from traditional search.
Aaron's got a question about tools. Oh, sorry, Laura. I'm monitoring chat too. About tools that show which of your pages are being most used in AI overviews. So I think that's sort of what Meredith was talking about here, using Google Analytics, and using regex to create a custom report because right now Meredith, you go ahead and
So
answer
for
this because
AI
you'll do better.
overviews, if people are clicking through, it's really not going to show anything different from just regular organic Google. There are paid tools. SEMrush is an example, Scrunch. They are pretty costly. So that's why for now, I mean, I hesitate to say this, but TJ, would you agree? I think that manual can be just as fine if it's, broadly seeing your presence for your top queries.
Right. So if you're just sort of checking your own search results, like these are the terms that bring the most traffic to your website from looking in Search Console. So looking at Google Search Console just to see what your top, keywords and queries are, and then checking those in Google Search. Honestly, like Google Search is probably one of the primary best tools still for SEO, which is like
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
doing some
definitely.
manual testing, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do the grand finale and then we will come back and take some more questions?
Sure. Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, what's happening in the future? It's changing.
Okay. So the future is going to be agent to agent communication. So think instead of users searching websites, AI assistants are going to talk directly to organization systems, asking questions, comparing options, and completing actions. So we're already seeing this with generative AI a bit, but agent to agent takes it a step further. So an example is OpenAI recently launched instant checkout capability inside ChatGPT. So you can now complete an entire purchase, research, selection, payment without ever leaving the conversation. So that's kind of an e-commerce example, but the same technology could apply to nonprofits. So if someone says, my disability benefits were denied, AI identifies this as a legal issue, pulls your educational content on appeals process, explains next steps, and potentially connects them to your intake system or schedules a consultation. Or how do I apply for emergency rental assistance? AI finds your program information, eligibility requirements, lists needed documents, and can pre-fill an application with information it already has. So people might never visit your website, but still access your educational content, understand their rights, and get connected to your services. So that's what it really means for you right now, but your website's role is changing. It's becoming less of a destination and more important for brand credibility, where AI pulls information and users verify, when they need to dig deeper. So your priority now is really making your content excellent. So thinking clear program descriptions, transparent impact data, easy to find eligibility requirements, and frictionless application pathways. So really just make it easy for AI to find, understand, and cite your content and make it credible enough that people trust it when they need to verify. I think, agent to agent is coming in the future, but the way that generative AI works is preparing us. So everything we've covered from technical setup, content structure, offsite presence, and measurement is going to help position your organization for whatever comes next.
Woo! Good job getting through all that.
Fantastic. That was amazing. In the chat, just wanted to mention that Mandy has, I'm going to repost it again, has linked to a great article, in fact, two. Here's another one about um, how to set up Google J4
Regex. Yeah.
for regex and AI.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
A couple of questions to come back to. I wanted to come back again to Nora's question from the beginning, which I think is at the heart of a lot of people's fear about AI. You mentioned, you answered the use case of what happens if AI is citing incorrect information from your own site. What
Hmm.
if you are, for instance, a legal information provider and you see AI providing incorrect legal information? Is the
Yeah.
only answer to be more credible, to try to convince AI that your information is better?
That's a tough question. And I just want to state at the beginning of this that we are not attorneys. And there is a legally murky part here. I think you would want to see what the site is on that information and see, is that a credible source? Is the information that it's pulling from the source correct? Because sometimes it's like AI literally misinterpreting things. Like I feel like we've
Yeah,
all had
yeah.
experiences using tools, especially for complex legal stuff or complex healthcare stuff, where AI misunderstands information. So I think there's a question of whether it is misunderstanding something, in which case you want to report it in the same way that you would report it if your stuff was wrong. If it is a different organization that has incorrect information and they are credible, I would reach out to them and ask them to correct it. I might also report it as incorrect also. Um, if it is a non-credible organization, I would just report it.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you. Another
Yeah.
question. This is your time to put questions into the chat. We will indeed wind up here in a few minutes. Thank you so much for all the participation and stuff in the chat. Pat asks, we link to a lot of articles. Will AI skip us for that original source?
So they will if you're not adding any additional value, context, or interpretation of the
Mhm.
information. If you are pulling together a lot of different sources of information and have context on, you should be doing this in this case. If you have, context A, then follow this. If you have context B, then do this. If there is additional value you're providing, then they will cite you. If you're not providing additional value and you're collecting information to disseminate and share to people, that can still be a helpful service. But you probably won't be cited.
Fantastic. Thank you. Terrific.
Ooh,
Ooh, Kenneth has a couple of technical questions. I see that you see them.
yes.
Go for it.
How is AI search impacting Google AdWords? This is just something we've been starting to talk about. Meredith, do you want to take this?
Um, I mean, I would probably defer to more of um,
Our ad team, who's not on this
our
call.
ad team who's
Yeah,
not on the
yeah,
call, but I will say
yeah.
that we know that ads are coming to LLMs, for example, soon. So I think ChatGPT is launching in January, I want to say. Um, so, I mean, I know that doesn't relate exactly to Google AdWords, but just know that, um, it's coming to generative AI as well.
One of the things we are seeing though is that paid search ads click-through rates are declining because of AI search
Hmm.
overviews and AI tools. And then Kenneth's other question is, what will happen to virtual assistants like Siri and Echo when searching for information? I don't quite, I'm not quite following that
So
question.
logically, they will start incorporating more AI, one would assume. Right now, neither of those will venture a ton of answers to questions. And they'll do more of that. But I kind of agree with TJ that it'll be more of the same. It doesn't feel like an entirely different dynamic to me. Meredith,
Yeah,
do you
I'm
have
sorry.
anything on?
Sorry, Laura, I cut you off there. What were you saying?
Nope. Just asking whether you had a different thought.
I do not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest, I have not spent a lot of time on virtual assistants, and so I don't know if they are pulling information from Google or if they're like how they're pulling their information. So I don't know. Yeah.
Fantastic. Last moment for any questions. Certainly, if you had a question that I think I've gotten all the questions, but if you had a question that we've missed, please put it in again and we'll make sure to get to it. Um, and absolutely, take a look at
Ah. Oh,
uh,
sorry. Kenneth has one more follow-up. So the question about the virtual assistants was
Oh,
really, will they incorporate agent to agent in the future?
yes,
I
I
would think
do
so.
definitely think so.
Totally.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
does make sense. Fantastic. Make sure to check out the Allegiance website, or now Allegiance Group and Pursuant website.
Yes.
Yes, that is a mouthful. As
Yes.
well as the nonprofit website Insider website. Thank you so much for attending, and we hope to see you at something soon.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for your
everyone.
time. Bye.